G'day guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Wildkard. Thank you for watching my content. I really do appreciate it. So yeah, the rumors has been spreading around. Not really rumors. The newspapers has like inside information that there was already been reported a couple of days now that Eddie Jones was going to get fired. But as of about an hour ago, the RFU has officially come out with a statement confirming Sir Eddie has been fired from England Rugby. I do feel like this was a bit of a stupid decision. I do feel like if anybody was going to turn the team around, it's going to be Eddie Jones. He did it in 2018. The Six Nations was horrendous for England in 2018. And he turned the team around to go all the way to the World Cup final and almost winning it for England. And as a result, yeah, I feel like the RFU got a little bit impatient. And yeah, they finally drank the Kool-Aid from the media and decided to let go Eddie Jones. This is I thought this was this is a bit of a surprise to me, to be honest, with the World Cup only 9 months away. It's getting rid of your head coach. It's a bit of it's always not a good position to be in. And also, with that being said, I did feel like Eddie Jones, the performances from England was not 100% Eddie Jones' fault as well. A lot of the players were not informed, to be really frank with you. Ben Youngs, Malo Tuilangi, resulting in Eddie Jones have to playing, Van Povie at 9, which saw England struggling a lot, which saw him struggling a lot out of 9 position. And also, players like a lot of the returning players like Billy Vunipola, I already mentioned Manu Tuilangi, not really in that tip-top form. Even Johnny May, not quite in that tip-top form just yet. And Owen Farrell as well, not really in super-duper form. I do feel like some of these key players really let England down. And yeah, let me know your thoughts if that's what you're seeing. I did feel like Eddie Jones had a game plan that was laid down to England that wasn't executed really poorly. The players just almost like refused, in a sense, to push the game plan to its to just kind of like phoning it in a little bit. From the look of a lot of the games, I was really disappointed by a lot of poor individual performances, to be really frank. And and RFU has ran out of patience. Eddie Jones is gone. With that being said, the current replacement is going to be this man named Steve Brothwick, who is the coach for the Tigers, Leicester Tigers. And yeah, and basically at the moment that the Tigers want the RFU to pay them out if they wanted to pick up the coach, which is going to be a huge amount of money for the England Rugby. And also England has to pay out Eddie Jones as well for his final year of contract that was extended till the end of the Rugby World Cup. So the RFU has to buy kind of like 2 bullets in this whole move to try to bring in this coach. Also, there was some talks about Ronan O'Gara. There was also talks about Razor Robbins. What is that? What's his name? Robinson. What's his first name? I don't want to. Anyway, Razor Robinson. It was talking about bringing him with the Crusaders coach. None of those are set in stone yet. But yeah, most likely it's going to be the Tigers coach right now to take over England. So some of the records that Eddie Jones still has with England are still quite impressive, to be really frank with you. He still holds currently the highest win rate of any England coach. Yes, in his history, at I think 75%, 73% or something, still the highest win rate. Quite impressive considering, England has been, if you only read the media, you think that England has been really bad under Eddie Jones, but not really that bad overall. Obviously, he came in 2016 after England lost their own World Cup, getting eliminated in the pool stage in their own home World Cup. And he basically took that same group of players and turned them into Grand Slam champions. He has a run of 18 winning streak, 18. Just so you know, France is currently on, I think, 14 win streak. So yeah, France is not even there yet, and it's already like the biggest win streak ever in the history of France. And I think one of the most important thing, which is why I think Eddie Jones probably got fired a bit too early, is that In 2018, the England team also went for a bit of a pretty similar situation here. Went for a big nosedive. They finished 5th place, which is basically the last place in the Six Nations, because Italy always finished on 6th. And yeah, they finished 5th, and Eddie Jones still managed to turn that team around to take them into Rugby World Cup final, almost winning that one. Kyle Sickler knocked himself out early. If he didn't get knocked out, who knows how close that game could have been. Is the Springboks, 4-pack dominance still going to be that much of an issue for England if Sinclair didn't get knocked out 2 minutes into the game? So yeah, a lot of these questions, we're waiting to be answered next year. And that seems to be not going to happen. Not going to happen for England. And yeah, so quite disappointing for Eddie Jones, to say the least. And Eddie Jones also holds undefeated record against Australia. He's only actually lost one test match against Australia with a very run-down England team earlier this year. And he has never lost a test series against Australia. Undefeated basically against Australia till a few months ago, losing his first test. Very impressive stuff. He also has a really good record against the All Blacks. Like it or not, England still haven't the All Blacks still haven't beaten England since 2018. It's been almost a whole World Cup cycle now that the All Blacks has not been able to beat England under Eddie Jones. So that's also a huge achievement for any team to be that consistently good against the All Blacks. I mean, obviously there's only been one game played since the Rugby World Cup, but yeah, it was a draw last week. But still, like it or not, wait, was it undefeated? I think there was. Anyway, really good record against the All Blacks regardless. And so it is what it is. So there was a bit of one of Eddie Jones' old mate, Dave Pembroke, was swinging for the fences a little bit for Eddie, I guess. He basically came out and alleged that Bill Sweeney was leaking insider information to the media, like we saw with this Eddie Jones being sacked news. It was reported in The Sun, I think he was. The Sun was pretty much we have insider information to confirm that this will happen. Eddie Jones will be fired. This is not a rumor. 2 days before it was officially announced. So someone inside is releasing, leaking this information. We saw a lot of this happen for England. This guy, Pembroke, basically accused Sweeney being the person that's leaking this information, or that people that he's associated with that's leaking this information, and asked and called for him to be investigated, and called him a slippery Bill. And basically, following these comments, he had to come out and apologize to Sweeney. And so this was some of the small things that also happened in the background. And the second Christmas present, early Christmas present for all of us, Wang Pivac was sacked as well, and Warren Gatland has been recalled to Wales to regain his throne at Wales. You just think about how kind of pity this is, right? All the media were calling for Gatland. It just shows how toxic the media is in Great Britain and in England overall. All the people were calling for him as a terrible coach for losing the Lions tour, called him boring, called him out of ideas, called his selections wrong, and called him for playing the same strategy, boring strategy as the Springboks. All the horrendous stuff people said about Warren Gatland. And here it is, Wales on their knees begging for him to come back to save the team. Kind of a little bit ironic. I felt Warren Gatland obviously don't take those things take media that seriously. But yeah, he's back taking Wales once again. Luckily for him, he does have an easy Rugby World Cup pool, but it's the Six Nations that's really going to test him. He's got Ireland coming up in the first round. And yeah, we shall see how he goes. So yeah, Wayne Pivac obviously had a horrendous year. I think he won 3 test matches this year. He lost to Italy. He lost to Italy at home. He lost to Georgia at home. And then, that final test against Australia was extremely poor. Kind of just, finished off the season for him. And yeah, some highlights for Wayne Pivac as well. In 2021, believe it or not, he almost won a Grand Slam. Wales was literally 30 seconds away from winning a Grand Slam before the French turned the ball over. Was it French? The French they play? Yeah. Before the French turned the ball over and, sneak out a win in extra time, essentially. Yeah, that was so close for Wales to get a Grand Slam there. Always an impressive feat. Now, there was a lot of controversy in this Six Nations. Like every game, Wales had to play against 14 players, essentially, due to red cards. So, regardless of what you say, the Wales... The Welsh was disciplined enough to not give away a red card, whereas the opposition's, it's their own fault for not able to do the same. So still, I'd give credit to Pivac for holding, being able to keep the team together for almost putting out a Grand Slam in 2021, and then from there on, the team kind of just starting to decline. I thought. Yeah, they did get that one win in South Africa, which it's not really that impressive. It was against literally like a C team from the Springboks. Like everybody was one. Ibn Esbeth is only legitimate Springbok player, like starting Springbok player in that team where they beat the Springboks 13 points to 12. So I really wouldn't read into too much of that. But yeah, losing to Italy, losing to Georgia. And just not able to consistently win any game. Like losing to Australia after, ahead by 20-something points at halftime was just, really inexcusable for any team. But yeah, Pivac is gone as a result. His percentage is a lot lower than Eddie Jones. Eddie Jones still had a 40% win rate at the moment. He's lost He's lost I think he's still 60% win rate in 2000 what do you call it? 2022. But yeah, Pivac is a lot lower. I think it's on 30-something% win rate. Only winning 3 out of the whole year. So yeah, not good. But yeah, this writing was on the wall after they lost to Georgia, which was really inexcusable. And the team that played against Georgia was pretty much almost a full-string side as well for Wales. So that should not have happened, period. So yeah, some of the fans are not happy with Gatland returning, calling him, calling him like Ronaldo returning to Man United. Obviously, people felt like he's not able to deliver. But, again, when Gatland left Wales, the team had a Grand Slam and, it was doing extremely well going into the Rugby World Cup. Don't know why people hate him so much. It's just the media and everything is a bit fickle in Europe regardless. Wales also, like I said, probably Pivac's job was made a lot harder due to the club issues the Wales were having. So yeah, most recently, Will Rowlands, the Welsh lock, has left Wales to play in France in Racing 92. Basically, the Welsh Rugby Union is having money issues, and as a result, they have frozen contract negotiations with all the players. Yeah, and as a result, there were reports that players are not able to get home loans because no one's is sure of how the banks are not confident in giving people money because they're not sure if the players can keep their current salaries or even continue forward essentially. So it's just really left players in a really poor position, and people are leaving, and Welsh rugby is basically being warned by the union that there could be more people leaving, like a huge exodus, like Will Rowlands that's going to see greener pastures overseas, and as a result, Wales basically came out and verbally agreed to a 6-year framework, a verbal agreement, in professional sport. I haven't seen that for a long. I don't know. I've never seen that before. It's just basically they're not able to agree on something, but they're just gonna say something out in the media to keep everything, I guess, string along. That's kind of like the strategy here with the verbal promise to the players. But a lot of this stuff could really play into the players' psyche as well when they play for the national team. If you're not sure if you're going to be able to get paid, not obviously going to get paid, but if you're not sure that what's the go with the contract. They have not agreed future fundings to all the teams. So all the contract negotiations has been frozen. And that will play in your mind when you play in the national team. So maybe that had something to do with Pivac's poor performance as well. Next up, Rassie Erasmus, Ninamba keeps their jobs. Obviously, Rassie is the king of South Africa. He is South African rugby, so obviously he's not going to get sacked. Interestingly though, Ninamba's success rate is 62%, not too high, not too low. I think he's yearning towards the lower side in recent times. Since Rassie's been banned, in recent times is like much lower than 62%. But they're gonna be fine for now. So there was a little bit of some interesting news from the South African players this week as well. So Super Nkosi was missing for a few days. Was reported to the police, and he has been found safe and sound. So the club has gone to visit him at his home, so he's gonna be okay. The Bulls sent somebody there, and there's no exact details of why or where he went during the disappearance, but at the moment he's okay, and they found him. So there was another bit of news as well. So the other bit of news is Evan Roos was hospitalized after returning to South Africa from the European tour. So this was a little bit scary. So he had a injured rib, like a broken rib, during the game against England. But he gutted it out, played 53 minutes, and then, afterwards he went back onto the field due to like HIA for another 8 minutes before the end. So this is actually quite risky because with a broken rib, or like a broken rib, the bone could puncture your lungs. It's like a legitimate thing that you should not be doing, should not be doing, like playing contact sport, because the fragments of your rib could literally puncture into your lung, and you could like die from that sort of stuff. It's quite serious. So despite it doesn't feel like that painful, and doesn't seem like that big of an issue, it has a very dangerous undertone to the injury. So as a result, he was taking a lot of painkillers. He was like rushed to hospital already after the test, and then he went. He was not feeling good. He was collapsing on his way to the bathroom, and then they had to check him before he got on the plane. After he got back down off the plane, he was he was taken to the hospital once again. So he was on a lot of painkillers, being tired, obviously traveling, and this is pretty brutal. Evan Roos is what, like 20 something, like 23 or something, 22. And he's already having so much issues already with his health. Like that is like, that's, for a 22-year-old, should not be passing out, multiple times within a week. That's that's really concerning. That's really concerning. Like, even with a rib injury, it should not be. I hope he's gonna be okay. I hope he's gonna take care of himself. He's probably gonna have to take some time off before he will return. But that's a bit concerning. Marcus Smith, the other guy that was injured during the final test match, and it's revealed that he has a ankle injury that is going to be out for a month. So he'll be out for a month, but he should be okay after that. Marcus Smith, ankle injury, out for a month, should be back for Six Nations. So Pivac Sowakula, who played 2 games for the All Blacks and then was never seen again, it's said that he's going to go to France. He's linking up with a top 14 team, Clermont, in France. And he's going to make more money. He's going to go for the money route. He did feel like probably not wanted by the All Blacks. I can understand that. I do feel like the All Blacks just kind of like wanted to make sure he doesn't play for another nation, for Fiji, and just wanted to kind of like tag him. Pivac is going to be going over to France, which means that this will be the end of his All Black career until further notice. Really interesting. With that being said, so obviously there's some friction between him and the All Blacks, otherwise he wouldn't just leave like that. But with that being said, Fozzie giving a bit of review for his team's performance. He gave the earlier season a D, and he gave the November test a B+. I do feel like B+ is probably a bit high for the end of the season tour. Whilst yes, the All Blacks did win all their games, they were all pretty easy games, and they struggled against England and they struggled against Scotland, which they shouldn't really be struggling. So I did feel like, they even have a bit of struggle against Japan, to be honest. So I did feel like probably a C for an All Black team. Fozzie reckons a B. He thinks that the earlier seasons a D. I think D. I mean, D is. I think an F would be a better letter than D. I would have given an F, but maybe D is a fail in Foster's world. But I would have given the earlier season an F, and I will give the end of the season a C. Again, this is actually a bit of interesting news here. So the Super Rugby has been basically re-signed a deal. Not re-signed a deal. The deal was gonna end next year, next year. As a result, the New Zealand Rugby and Australian Rugby were having a bit of a verbal jab going around, and Australian Rugby was threatening to pull out of the Super Rugby altogether and to start their own competition. Basically, the pay structure was split in a way that New Zealand kept their own sponsorship, kept their own earnings, and Australian Rugby kept their own earnings. So New Zealand Rugby was basically making more money because they had better sponsors, they had better teams and better performances. And Rugby Australia was not happy with this. They want an equal split of the money. So they basically put out this ruse to get New Zealand Rugby to kind of pay up the split. If you ever want to know why New Zealand Rugby is going bankrupt, this is why. Because the people at New Zealand Rugby are absolute morons, and they have no idea how to run a business. And I was surprised why these guys still have a job in New Zealand Rugby. For instance, there's not meant basically, okay, just so you guys understand how stupid the New Zealand Rugby employees were, the management were, right? Part of this deal was negotiated in Australia, during the Rugby Championship. There was a story that the New Zealand board, right, the New Zealand Rugby, went to Australia and attended the Wallabies versus Springbok game. Yes, the Wallaby versus Springbok game, the first test in South Australia, in Adelaide. Okay? They went there to negotiate this deal. Yeah. If you have any, like, you don't even need me to explain this to you, you will realize that sounds like a place where you're going to lose the negotiations, right? You are invited to a hostile stadium where the All Blacks is not even on the field. You have absolutely no interest in what's happening on the field. Complete hostile environment. Not a single Kiwi in sight. Not even a fan in sight, right? And you're going to sit there and negotiate a deal. And it's like textbook, like, it's literally like, if you ever go to like one of those negotiation school of how to negotiate, it's like invite them into your office to negotiate because it's your home turf. You have a better chance of getting the deal that you want because you have the home ground advantage. That's basically what Australia did to New Zealand, and the idiots in New Zealand rugby just went, not even gonna like, you know, even if they went to a bloodless little cup game, at least, right, the All Blacks is there. You have, you know, people there that is your homeboys, right? Not go to a Springbok game and let's talk about the future of Super Rugby. Unbelievably stupid by New Zealand Rugby. So yeah, I wasn't surprised they're gonna lose the negotiations because I saw that news release, and I already knew that they're gonna lose 50% of the split. Despite New Zealand has better teams, has better sponsors, has probably more fans, they're gonna give 50% of the split to Australian Rugby. And the fact is, Australian Rugby, half the games played amongst Australian teams are not even professional standard. New Zealand Rugby is the only side of the Super Rugby that is playing professional standard. And yet, New Zealand Rugby is stupid enough to give away a split of their revenue to Rugby Australia. How stupid are these people running this business, man? Like, honestly. Unbelievably stupid. I mean, anyway, I can keep on ranting about this for a long time. So yeah, finally, Razzie made a 20-minute video monologuing about captaincy, monologuing about how his expectations of the media, yada, yada, yada. But yeah, anyway, that's the news. Thanks for watching, guys. Let me know your thoughts on any of the articles this week. And like, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you guys next week, maybe. We'll see. And have a good one. Cheers.